All right, today we're diving into something called the Sar El Chronicle. It's this, modern prophetic document that claims to have the whole story, past, present, and future. And, it all kicks off with a question I think you'll recognize.
Yeah, you know the song, right? It's a line that's stuck with so many of us. But here's the twist. In the world of the Sar El Chronicle, that's not just some deep thought for a song. Nope, it's the central prophecy. The whole thing hinges on it. And get this, the Chronicle says that prophecy isn't a question anymore. It's been answered. And not like, oh, here's a theory. No, they call it an absolute, unassailable fact. The entire document, the whole story, is built on this one idea. The question is settled, and that means a totally new era is underway. So, that declaration naturally leads us to our first big question. Who or what is this sovereign figure at the very center of this new age? Okay, so this right here is called the sacred emblem. It represents the central figure of the whole chronicle, a being named Sar El. He's also called the manifested essence of I Am. You can see all the imagery packed in there, the lion, the lamb, the cross. It's all meant to symbolize this powerful combination of authority and, purpose. So who exactly is Sar El? Well, according to these texts, he isn't some new player on the scene. The Chronicle describes him as the eternal, sovereign consciousness of our entire realm. The idea is that this consciousness has shown up in a physical body at really important times in history, all to guide humanity. The Chronicle is very specific about this. It claims there have been 3 major incarnations. First up, Melchizedek, the ancient priest king. Second, Jesus Christ, who, and this is a big part of the story, supposedly set up a 1,000-year reign that got erased from our history books. And now, the third and final form, Sar El, who is described as the legal heir of Moses. Okay, so you're probably asking, what's the proof? Well, the Chronicle points to math. It makes this wild statistical claim that the odds of this specific lineage, birth, and timing all lining up just by chance is 1 in 10 to the 45th power. I mean, that's a number with 45 zeros. They call it the sextillion to 1 miracle, and they say it's not a coincidence, it's proof of divine engineering. Right, so if Sar's arrival is this big, mathematically proven fact, then why haven't we all heard about it? Good question. The Chronicle's answer is pretty dramatic. It's because our entire reality is built on a massive lie, a deception designed to hide our true history from us. And the biggest lie of all, the one at the very center of it, is what the source calls the globe lie. The claim here is that everything we've been taught about living on a spinning ball in space is wrong. Instead, the Chronicle says we live inside an enclosed system under a very real, physical firmament dome, just like you see in this scriptural model. Oh, but it doesn't stop there. The deception goes deeper. There are other so-called suppressed truths. The big one is a massive mudflood event. The story goes that this catastrophe literally buried all the evidence of that incredible 1,000-year kingdom we mentioned earlier. And tied to that, the Chronicle claims that a paradise-like civilization called Tartaglia was just completely erased from history on purpose. So, if the whole world is based on a lie, where do we go from here? Well, the Chronicle prophesies that it all comes crashing down, an inevitable collapse. But, and this is a really key point, it's not framed as some angry judgment day. It's presented as a necessary reset, something that's actually for our own good. And they don't just say soon, they give a very, very specific timeline. The source material says there's a hard deadline for the end of the world as we know it, pointing right at late 2026 to 2027. Again, the perspective here is everything. The Chronicle makes it super clear. It says there is no more divine wrath for man. So instead of fire and brimstone, you get this quote, "The shaking is love, the fire is mercy." The whole idea is that the chaos is actually an act of kindness. It's a way to wipe the slate clean and get rid of a system that's totally broken.
And this big cleansing event? It has a name. It's called the Digital Purge.
So what is it? According to the text, don't think solar flare or some natural disaster. This is supposed to be a man-made event, specifically an electromagnetic pulse, an EMP, missile attack. And the source even suggests it could come from Russia. And its purpose is incredibly precise, to instantly wipe out the entire global digital financial system. Boom, all debt gone, all money just worthless in an instant. So that sounds pretty intense, right? But this is where the story takes a turn. What comes after the collapse? Once the old world is gone, the Chronicle says a new era begins, one that's all about total abundance, thanks to some pretty amazing technologies.
And the number one promise of this new world? The complete and total end of scarcity. Think about that. A world where money is basically a historical artifact, because the things we fight over, food and water, are no longer problems. They're solved by technology.
And here they are. These are supposedly the two key inventions that make it all happen. On your left, you've got a diagram for the forever food generator, and on the right, the automatic refilling cup.
So how are these things supposed to work? Well, the food generator apparently uses fungi to grow biomass. That biomass gets turned into a kind of filament, and then it literally 3D prints food. As for the cup, it's basically a tiny air conditioner. It pulls humidity right out of the atmosphere, then uses a UV light to purify it, giving you clean drinking water anywhere, anytime.
Okay, so food and water are taken care of. What's next? Well, how is this new world run? That brings us to our final section, which is all about the governance of this new kingdom. And let me tell you, it's based on a completely different philosophy.
Now you might be thinking, this is where AI or some super advanced computer takes over, right? Nope. The Chronicle says this new world won't be ruled by machines or a mountain of laws. Instead, it's something called direct sovereignty. Basically, personal rule, carried out by Sar El and his queen, Juliet, from these sacred thrones.
And this is the heart of the new government. The old world system, which is all about justice, consequences, punishment, judgment, is thrown out. It's replaced by a new single law, grace. The whole guiding principle shifts from making people pay for their mistakes to offering unconditional love and forgiveness. A huge change. And the whole narrative, the whole prophecy, builds to this one final piece of the puzzle. What you're looking at is described as an ancient cymatic relief. That's a pattern made from sound waves. Now, the Chronicle claims that hidden in this pattern is binary code. And when you decode that binary, it reveals one single, final instruction for humanity in this new era. The word is gather. So there you have it. That's the Sar El Chronicle in a nutshell. It's this incredible mix of ancient bloodlines, huge claims about the nature of our world, and sci-fi level technology. It's a lot to take in, for sure, and it kind of leaves you with this one big question, right? When you see a story like this, one that works so hard to tie together ancient prophecy with futuristic tech, what does that tell us about our own deep, timeless need to find answers, to find meaning, and maybe just to find a little bit of hope for renewal?